So, my journey to Asia this year brings me to the Mentawai Islands in Indonesia, and I can say without a doubt that it's one of my favorite places that I've ever been to. It's also one of the most difficult and grueling travel experiences I've ever had, just given how long it took to actually get there. But I hope I meet someone crazy enough one day to do this journey with me again. This little island here in the middle of the ocean is going to be my home for the next couple weeks, and just to give you an idea of how isolated it is, it's in this chain of islands in Indonesia that you can only get to by ferry, and you have to fly into a local airport to get there. Just to visualize it, here it is on Google Maps, and you can see as we zoom out just how fucking difficult it was to get to this place from San Francisco. That being said, if anyone ever wants to go again, I'm there. Of course, I got some important things to take care of. I need to tend to my plants because I'm going to be gone for quite some time, so I'm repotting and overwatering them because I don't think they're going to be watered on their own when I'm gone. And then I'm just throwing all of my essential travel stuff for a couple weeks into my luggages. In total, the journey was over 30 hours of non-stop travel, and I only mean that in vessels like airplanes and cars and boats, and I'm not counting overnight stays or travel time to and from the airport, etc. From San Francisco at least, you need to fly into Taipei, do the brutal layover that Taipei is famous for, fly into Jakarta, do another layover for a few hours, and then fly a regional airline into a small city called Padang. And then you stay overnight in Padang, and you get picked up the next morning super early to get taken to the ferry. And the ferry takes 3 hours in choppy waters to another port. As soon as the ferry took off, actually, I was thinking I know some of my friends get horrible motion sickness and seasickness, and I was like, damn, there's no way they would have survived. I was actually kind of going through it too, so I feel lucky that I don't get motion sick, but some person in front of me was eating papaya and it smelled so bad. No shade to papaya, I just think it smells like shit. Okay, and once you're on the dock, the surf camp people will come pick you up in this small motorboat, and you take this dinger for another 2 hours, all in the open top, until you finally get to the island. And here we finally are, unbothered, moisturized, happy, in my lane, focused, flourishing. Of course, anywhere I go, the first thing I do is make new friends with all the little bugs and mosquitoes on this island, and they never tasted someone like me, I'm assuming, because I just got swarmed my first day. I just wish more women felt the same way. If you're wondering whether there's any reception here, that is a great question. There is zero reception. So what do you do all day? You literally wake up at 4 a.m., eat breakfast, and then you go on the boat and you go surf all day. And since there's no gym and there's not that much protein that you can eat, you're gonna lose your gains really quickly, but not gonna lie, after a couple weeks of surfing, my arms, especially my forearms and my shoulders, they looked absolutely shredded. The only reason for this is that I kind of suck, and so I'm paddling constantly when I'm surfing, and I have to keep paddling. So even if my form doesn't look good, at least my arms look good. And I'm not overstating this. This is literally all I did. I would wake up at the crack of dawn, eat some bread or some carbs or some shit, and then it's just surfing the whole day. Until the sun went down and it was almost pitch black with low visibility to the point where it became a health hazard. That's when we would pack it up and head back to the island. Even during this one day when it was dumping rain, we'd still be out there. It was awesome. I've also seen some very blue water in my life, in Bali, in Saint-Tropez in France, in Mexico, in Hawaii, but this was one of the prettiest shades of blue I've ever seen, and it was almost see-through too. I found out pretty quickly that I didn't bring as much sunscreen as I needed because I need to reapply it every hour, so I'm always swimming back to the boat and chilling with our photographer just to spray another layer on. But thankfully, there are people in this world that are more prepared than me for anything, and so they're able to lend me whatever extra that they had. I'm not going to wax poetic about how life-changing this trip was, just how all of your friends who studied abroad for one semester in college do for the rest of their college experience, but it really was the best way to start my trip. I'm also really thankful to be alive in an age where you can look up something on the internet or on Instagram or on Twitter. You can find their websites, you can read more about the place, and these are actual places on the other side of the world that you can just buy a plane ticket to and go to, even though it takes 30-something hours to get there. I would never have been able to discover or even think about going to a place like this otherwise. I'm happy to have left my own mark on this place too, by having the single worst sunburn that anyone on this camp has ever seen, including the people who run the camp, the locals, some of the women who cook for us in the kitchen. It was so bad, and I was so red, and I was emitting so much heat and glowing that everyone gathered around to watch someone apply egg whites to my back, because apparently it helps repair the layer of skin. So if you ever get sunburned that bad, you should look for egg whites because, if you're cooking in the kitchen or you get a sunburn, that's a quick remedy. And with the entire layer of skin on my back replaced with a layer of egg whites instead, it was time to head back. You can see that the ferry treats everyone's luggage with white glove service. My man here was just yeeting everyone's bags into the crowd with a beautiful arc, and I know that if he threw my 49.8 pound checked bag, someone was gonna die. So that concludes 2 weeks in the Mentawai Islands in Indonesia. The reason I didn't go to Bali this year is because I've already been to Bali 3 times, and going a 4th time would make people think that there was something wrong with me or liken me to a passport bro, and those are allegations that you can't beat. I know better than to try. Anyways, thanks for sticking around. I have a 7-hour flight to Korea next, so see you soon, or see you never, or see you sometime in between.
Au-delà des